Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Speedify Live Office Hours. I'm Alex. This is Mike. We are some of the people who make Speedify. So this is your chance to ask us questions. How do you ask? Type. In the comments. We see comments and we put them on. So let's start with Clint and his great question. Performance enhancing proxy, default is off. What exactly is it technically? And should I turn it on and will it be on by default in later versions? Yes. So the performance enhancing proxy is the biggest feature we've had for a while. It's only there on router versions. It really changes how Speedify works. It makes Speedify do several things. One, when it's turned on, it no longer uses the ton, which is the normal interface for VPNs. Turns out we had optimized our code in Speedify with all the load balancing, encryption, and all this stuff, so much that turned out we were spending 75% of our time reading from the ton. Just this little piece of Linux, which all the VPNs use, turns out to be slow. So we've completely changed how we grab traffic out of the system when the ton is on. We grab it out with rules and IP tables and stuff. And we actually end your actual TCP socket ends on the router. And we rewrite all of your traffic to our own protocol. And our protocol is much less affected by jitter, by loss, and by latency than TCP is. And we transfer it with our protocol to the server, where we're then running another proxy that turns it back into TCP so it can go on the internet and talk with other applications. So we've got two things. One, we're grabbing the traffic more efficiently. Two, we're transferring it with our protocol that doesn't get messed up the way TCP does with latency, jitter, loss. And the side effect that comes out of this, that turns out to probably be the biggest effect, is that we get to change the packet sizes. So Speedify can get really efficient with large packets. So when it's running on your computer, when it's running on your phone, we're able to actually tell every app on your system, we can accept 15,000 byte packets.
Really?
And most apps, if they're trying to transfer a file or something, they just go ahead and ask for giant packets. If they're downloading, if they're uploading, they send us giant packets, and they just adjust the fact that this crazy internet connection will take packets 10 times larger than a real internet connection. That lets us go so efficiently. But on a router, you're going over the Wi-Fi. And Wi-Fi is capped at, 1,480 bytes per packet. So we'll never get packets bigger than that. Well, in the PEP mode, we're able to take a bunch of those packets as they come in. If you're sending them to us fast enough, we slam them together into one packet, and they're just one packet then. And we send it across. And so we hit these much higher levels of efficiency. So the PEP completely changes in router mode how we handle packets. There are a lot of real-world scenarios where we can get Speedify to go 6 times faster. If you take like one of those little GLI net routers, here's one, pile of crap. Take one of these nice little GLI travel routers and connect it to a gigabit internet connection. Speedify will now get more than 600 megabits through it. Interesting thing, if you read their specs, they say, this is a fast router. WireGuard can get over 300 megabits through it. So Speedify, on this kind of constrained device with the PEP on, is now twice as fast as WireGuard. And that's not including bonding, right? WireGuard can't do any bonding. All this, there's all these ways that, of course, we're much superior to WireGuard. I won't bothering you with all of them right now. But on these sort of devices, even just one internet connection that's perfect with no latency, no jitter, no loss, just a regular VPN from point to point, we're now twice as fast as WireGuard. And just blah. So, next question. Defaults to off. Yes, we decided let people turn it on if they want to try it. Most people who turned it on loved it. A number of people found issues. We are planning to push out bug fixes on Friday.
Yeah.
We are testing the fixes. I think that if you haven't tried it yet, just wait for that.
Yep.
It works. It works pretty well. A lot of people are going from 200 megabits to 500 megabits. But a couple people have seen actual problems. We've got fixes. We're testing them. We'll get them out at the end of the week. And at that point, we are planning to just default to on.
Yep.
It is awesome. And we are really excited about it. All right. Lots of app sites block VPN users. How are you going to improve bypass? There's, a couple things going on here. Somebody moved around some of the buttons on my Stream Deck. Very stressful. They're all still there. They're just not the same spot. What did I just do? All right. So anyway, you guys can see Speedify here. So bypass, couple things going on. One is we just added the most recent custom under bypass, and now you can add domains. You can say, oh, I want connectify.me to be bypassed, and voila, it will be. You can go by IP address. You can go by ports. And any of these that you set will then just go around Speedify. We did the same screen, by the way, essentially, for the jitter buffer.
That's already set, yeah.
Okay, I have to add a new one. There we go. where you can bypass TCP, UDP. You can buffer, in this case, TCP, UDP, or ICMP, which doesn't have a port number. So, but yeah, again, you can go by IP address or domain name or port, and yeah, so that's all improving. On Android, of course, we got the nice stuff where you can pick per app. We haven't done that on other operating systems because it's so inconsistent which operating systems.
Yeah.
Seems like Mac, there's now a way for us to figure out which app it is. I know Windows there is too, but on a router there isn't.
Yeah.
On iPhone there isn't. Unfortunately, Facebook did so many creepy things with their VPN spying on everyone that it's now been taken away from all the VPNs. We don't get to see what apps people are using. So that is tragic.
Yes.
Does these improvements make it over the Raspberry Pi? Well, that's a funny. We're actually in an odd situation on the Raspberry Pi. Not in this release. Yeah, not in this release. There are other things coming. I guess I'll talk about them when they come.
Yeah.
We won't talk about what's not there yet. We'll talk next week. There's a bunch of stuff here. Routing whitelist. Some companies have it, so you can route only specific websites, IPs, or apps.
Yeah, we just demonstrated that, right?
There is actually a mode in the command line interface where you can swap the whitelist. We basically blacklist stuff, but you can. Sorry, you don't use that word anymore. We deny list by default, but you can change it to allow list by default.
Yes.
It's in the command line interface. I don't know how many people are using it. It's entirely possible.
We should look.
It's just me.
It could be.
It's in there. We don't get a lot of requests for it. It's in there, and we've used it for some funny experiments and trying stuff. Is possible. We could probably talk you through that if you want it. Shane, would PEP not improve performance on Windows Desktop? PEP would improve performance on Windows Desktop. Microsoft now, a year and a half ago, did a really bad bug fix where they reduced the maximum size that internet connections are allowed to say they accept packets. So where I said, we say, oh, you just give us a 15,000 byte packet and we're fine with it. One of their security fixes took that away.
Oh.
And I have no idea. I think it was an accident, but we can't get them to fix it. So now something like 3,000 bytes is the largest packet we're allowed to say we can accept on Windows. And I think it's just dumb. So if we had the PEP, then I think we could go back to the giant packets and higher efficiencies and the higher speeds.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you can see it. If you set up a Windows computer with Speedify and with Connectify hotspot connected to a gigabit internet connection, the Connectify hotspot those clients can't come anywhere close to the speeds they ought to anymore. And they used to be able to. We didn't get slower.
No, yeah.
Windows stopped letting us do the massive packets. And it really hurt us. So I think with the PEP we could fix it. The problem is there aren't many lines of code that get reused. This becomes, a whole bunch of Windows firewall code. And I think we'll do it. But it's a lot of work. It's, big chunks of what we did won't get reused there. Tragic. But yeah, Speedify 15.9, big. The version of Speedify coming out the end of this week. Actually, it's going to be huge in many ways. Well, we decided to name it Speedify 16.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of things that we've been working on for years. that are going to show up on Friday.
It's gonna be a good day.
It's going to be a big day.
Yeah.
Big day. So yeah, watch for that. All right. So, topic of the day. Since we seem to have reached the bottom of questions for now, feel free to ask them. But we're going to chat about AntennaGate for a second because I don't know. We did a little video and we got so many comments, so many questions. So we're coming up on an anniversary of AntennaGate on the iPhone. And so it's also, the iPhone 17 has come out, and people are complaining about dropped calls and poor signals. And I thought maybe we should talk a little bit and get to what the root causes are. Like,
Sure.
Why do iPhones so often
Yeah.
have these problems with antennas?
Yeah, I mean, the first AntennaGate, you can go back to 2010. It was, and you know, AT&T and some of their antenna engineers try to tell Mr. Jobs to stop the release, don't do it. There's going to be problems, and big corporations say we don't care. Push the product. It's revolutionary. It's the new antenna. We're going to come out with it.
Which iPhone was this?
The iPhone 4.
Oh, that's my iPhone.
Look, I can't believe Alex still uses the 4. No, he doesn't. But we do have some here in the
I have
studio.
a drawer full of every phone I've ever used.
It's crazy.
And this was my iPhone 4. So bunch of things to notice. One,
Look how tiny it
it's
is.
so tiny, right? It was the 4S where they made the screen larger. It got taller. So you got an extra row of icons.
That was
Revolutionary.
revolutionary.
Look at
One
this.
more thing.
Look at the bottom of the phone. You guys see that? It's got the 30-pin connector. Remember that? The giant proprietary connector. But there it is. You can see it.
Yep.
AntennaGate is right there. So this strip of metal here was part of the cellular antenna.
Yep.
And this piece of metal down here was not. And the thing that stops them from touching is this tiny vertical strip of plastic. So they don't touch each other. And so this is doing your cellular antenna. Well, if you hold the phone, particularly if you're left-handed with your big-ass hand over it, you electrically connect these two through your skin.
Yep. Yes.
Right? And you know, skin is generally considered an insulator, a resistor actually, right? Particularly if you're a little bit sweaty.
Yeah.
You're a little bit
very
sweaty.
conductive.
It'll connect those two pieces of metal, and now this thing is no longer a properly tuned antenna. You'll notice the bulge. My battery has swollen. This thing is on the verge of catching fire. I don't know if the Apple Store will let me replace it.
You should bring it in.
But man, it is just such a nice design, right?
I love the 4.
Look, it's just such a nice sandwich. Glass, metal, glass. I mean, the corners are a little sharp. Doesn't quite have the elegance of the original iPhone, right?
Yeah.
You know, every corner is curved. There's no edges on this. It feels solid, right? It's thick aluminum. It's glass on the front. And here, all of the antennas are behind this piece of plastic, right? So there's Wi-Fi and cellular antennas behind the plastic. They didn't get clever with using the metal on the outside of the phone as an antenna. Just plastic. So their antenna's behind this, and they're covered up, so you can't touch them. But you know,
Smart.
RF goes through ABS plastic just fine. So you guys, are any of you having problems with cellular dropping out and stuff? I know that one of the guys here ran out and bought himself an iPhone 17 Air. And he is seeing very strange latency numbers.
Which is
On 5G, he's getting latencies as high as 750 milliseconds, which is awful. 3/4 of a second to get a message through the 5G cellular.
Yeah.
Which makes me think it's just a software bug and that this will just be fixed.
Well, the error,
like there's somebody has to have bad code holding up the packets. Where else could you get it? So they're probably accidentally dropping it into some sort of low power sleep mode while he's still using it, and they'll figure out the bug and get the fix out.
I agree. Yeah, it's weird that he's having problems with the Air because that was considered one of the stable models that wasn't affected because of Apple's new chips. But yeah, it seems like all 4 models are
Other people are complaining about the 17 and the Pro Max, but those use totally different wireless chips, totally different antennas, right? The Air is all Apple technology. That's their CXN wireless
the Air
chip,
uses the C1X.
their new antennas.
And yep.
Yeah, the C1X, sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, so the new models also use the N1. So the N1 and the Snapdragon and the 17
So the
Pros.
N1 is Apple's new Wi-Fi chip.
Right. So the Pro models and the base model are using Snapdragon and Apple's chip, which is causing problems. But then the Air is using 2 of Apple's newest chips together, and I guess they're still hitting problems. But
Yeah.
I do think it's a software issue.
But how come Apple puts out these new phones, these premium phones, after all this work, and then so frequently they have, either cellular or Wi-Fi problems that get fixed in a software update?
Oh, we forgot about
this
that.
happens nearly every time. There have been so many new phones where the Wi-Fi just disconnects randomly. This has happened at least 3 times, and then they put out a software update and it never
They're
happens
not
again.
worried about it. They're still selling however many million. But one of the executives said for this release that their main focus was the Air. Even though a lot of people weren't going to buy the Air, all their new chips are going into it. That's what they were using. So the fact that the other models did have issues, well, they weren't even using those models, and that kind of explains it. But yeah, Apple's on a level of their own.
Yeah. All right. We got some questions come in. I want to set up some hotspots for my news teams. Is there a channel for handling specific corporate requests? Cheers from Brazil. It still goes through support at speedify.com. We know who has, you probably want Speedify for Teams that lets you get, a large number of users managed in one spot. Yeah. And yeah. So you probably want Speedify for Teams, and you can just email support and talk to them. They'll get you the right people. It's not a different address. All right. So, should we talk at all, but how do the cellular modems work?
So cellular modems in general on all cellular devices pretty much work the same. They're just kind of like two-way walkie-talkie radios communicating with cell phone towers around the area. No, I don't think there's much to them. It's very intricate, but as far as like the high-level technology,
there's a lot of technology jammed into them. One thing that I find really interesting about cellular, and this comes up a lot, is how completely different, right? With Wi-Fi, you take it apart, you look inside your Wi-Fi router. The chips in there may well be the same chips that are in your laptop talking to Wi-Fi, right? When you look at the pieces in the cell phone, they're just not doing very much different from what the access points are doing. But if you look at LTE or 5G, the radio in the phone has almost nothing in common with what's going on in the tower. The tower is playing this completely different game, right? The phone can talk to one tower. The tower is talking to, hundreds of phones at the same time, and it'll be 5 or 10 simultaneously, and then switching between which group of 5 or 10 over and over every second, so 100 people think they're connected. It's just a totally different technology, a totally different scale. They're both talking LTE, but there's nothing in common between what's going on in the tower and what's going on in your phone, right? All right. So, what was the solution, if there was one, to AntennaGate on the iPhone 4? Was it the iPhone 5? Well, so the first attempt at Apple's solution to AntennaGate was to put out a software update that they claimed was a bug fix that made the number of bars not drop in the user interface when you put your finger on here. And they tried to claim it was just a software bug. But that fooled no one because they could put their finger on there and do speedtest.net and see they got lower results, and take their finger away and see that they got faster results, and that it was completely reproducible. Whether or not Apple moved the bars, we noticed. So then there was the "you're holding it wrong" nonsense, which was.
That's Steve Jobs for you, though.
Yeah.
You're doing it wrong.
Didn't get away with that. It became a classic. Right now, people use that to mock Apple to this day. The final solution was that they gave out free cases. The reason Apple shipped this one without noticing it is that they required all Apple employees to use cases on the phone when testing them, so that people wouldn't get good pictures of the phone. Right? The one that showed up in the bar and got stolen, it was in a case, and they took off the case to get the photos of it. Apple only tested this in cases, so they just gave everyone cases. It's not your hand being close that does it; it's touching. So they just gave everyone cases, and that was the end of that. All right. Hi, sorry, but the best place for an Apple product is in a dumpster. No, afraid that is not correct. Not everything is a hit. But man, and people claim that Apple doesn't innovate, but I think they just say that to make themselves feel better.
Yep.
Holy cow, the Apple Watch. I mean, they didn't invent the idea of the watch.
No, they made it better.
Apple was doing it. But by now it's transformed into a health thing.
Saving people's
That is
lives.
entirely original, saving people's lives. You can set them up. I was going to name the person, but I can't do that. Someone I know has it set up so that when their heart rate gets too irregular, it pokes their doctor.
That's crazy.
It turns out you can set it to send your heart alerts to your doctor, either in addition to you or instead of you. Talk to this person.
I don't want to hear it, yeah.
And they said, a lot of people get so stressed they don't want these alerts.
That's great.
But you can have it sent to your doctor.
I think it's fantastic.
And when I was at this person's house, the phone rang.
Oh, gosh. I'd be like, is it?
And it was the doctor.
No.
And you know what? Maybe you should come in. Crazy
Scary stuff, yeah.
Right? I mean, no one else is doing that but Apple.
No one. Do we forget what was before the OG? Those Windows phones were horrible.
Windows phones, so awesome. Yeah, I mean, before the iPhone, there was Windows CE.
Yeah, well, yes.
And they actually ran Windows with the
legit
tiny
Windows
taskbar and like little tiny X's in the corners. I sort of liked it.
I'm not gonna.
In
I
a
want it
weird
more.
way.
And the Palm Pilots, I
Right.
guess.
But then they reacted to the iPhone with that weird Windows phone. Where
Terrible.
It came up with the tiled.
It's like a Zune.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just don't think they ever got it right. And they couldn't get anyone to buy it, and they couldn't get any developers to develop for it.
Nope.
So they couldn't get anyone to buy it. So they couldn't get anyone to develop for it. And it was kind of impossible. Same with glucose monitors.
Yep.
The info is sent to the specialist. Personal testing that's been real Star Trek effect to many illnesses. Yeah, you can get this stuff hooked up. I mean, they've done revolutionary
It's
stuff.
crazy. You can measure just with your wrist. That's weird. That's crazy.
So the blood sugar they haven't gotten working. So there's the other sensors you can buy that connect to it with Bluetooth.
Oh, they go over it.
That you'll see them on the back of people's arms.
Oh, I didn't know that was the.
And they stick
kinda go
needles just into your skin. They don't
Wow.
even, they don't even go all the way through your skin. They're just getting a little bit into your skin. Apparently it pokes a little bit, you put it on, and then you leave it there stuck
Really?
for a couple days.
Wow.
And people love these things. Actually, so much so that doctors are getting concerned that all of these perfectly healthy people are watching their blood sugar through the day and trying to manage it. But in fact, there have been no studies
What should
on
be?
how perfectly healthy people's perfect blood sugar should look.
Oh, so these are.
Right,
I
you're
was
like,
thinking it was like people with
also
like
these people try and make sure
diabetes or
their
something.
sugar
Okay.
never spikes. Well, yeah. So they invented it for diabetes.
Yes.
And most people with diabetes now, I think, are wearing these things. But apparently, particularly in Silicon Valley, all these perfectly healthy people are wearing it.
Wow.
Try and make sure their blood sugar never spikes. And doctors are pointing out, like, there's no evidence
Maybe it should. Spike.
that spiking sugar is bad for someone who doesn't have diabetes. I mean, maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
Yeah.
Nobody's done this study, and these people are trying to manage their blood sugar, stay in certain ranges, where there's in fact no evidence that those ranges are anything but stuff they made
That's
up to have
fascinating.
good-looking graphs. So I don't know, maybe they're extending their lives.
I would like to know.
Maybe it's harmless. And
What is their energy level through the day? Are they just like
Oh, there's
mundane?
so many people into graphing.
They're doing mushrooms and doing glucose all day over in Silicon Valley. All right.
All right, so we have cell phone towers up in space that can beam down the internet from hundreds of miles away. Why don't we have this kind of technology on the ground for much better range? Okay, so cell phone towers in space. So what's on a cell phone tower? Turns out there's 5 things on a cell phone tower. There's a tower. The only purpose of the tower is to hold the antenna high up in the air. Okay, if we're dealing with satellites, you can forget that. All right, next there are the antennas. And they put the antennas. That's a lot of what's different on the satellites.
Okay.
Really directional antennas, beaming as close to a laser down the signal as they can. Instead of the sectors that kind of, those antennas, the tall antennas that you see are sector antennas. They're kind of sending a beam out of radio that looks like this. So you'll see the towers have like one at each corner so that the beams don't overlap, but they cover the whole area around the tower. So the satellites are beaming it down in a really tight beam. Next is the base station. This is the electronics. It's a modem. It's a great big modem. Interestingly, the base station isn't even a router. All of the brains doing internet stuff is back in the core network, back at like headquarters in a giant data center. The tower, it's just shipping the packets back and forth. It's not doing even IP. It's just moving data frames. Next is power. You need power. And so that'll be, power coming in and a transformer and usually a battery backup so that if power fails, cell phones keep working. And it's just connect solar power to, solar panels on a satellite. So that kind of gets taken care of. And then a good a good network connection, sorry. They generally don't connect them to the internet because, jitter, latency, loss. They'll normally do dedicated fiber straight into the carrier's network. That's what they want. They can, in remote locations, instead connect to the internet, but latency, jitter, loss, they hate that. They'll also do stuff now with dedicated wireless, where they'll use microwaves or millimeter wave and have some sort of dish pointed at the next tower where they fire a tight beam that's shared by no one else to connect it. And so that's what the satellite is doing, right? It is beaming down at, 12 gigahertz, a big fat signal to those bases that Starlink has set up. And I don't know what the antennas are like there. I've seen photos of them. They're these big globes. Oh, cool. I assume full of, is there one giant antenna in there or 10,000 little ones? I don't know. They're these big white balls that Starlink is putting on the ground, and those are what the satellites are talking to. So, the reason it can go so far is 2 things. One, it's a very tight beam. So, you can play those games. In fact, if you have something with a cellular modem where the antennas are removable, like, I don't know. I have one here, coincidence. A Miri X510. its 5G modem has 4 antennas. You can remove these and you can get, actually it's these 4. You can remove these and you can get a really directional 5G antenna. And so you run the wires from this to this dinner plate sized thing that you point at a cell phone tower. And you can connect to cellular. If you can see to the tower from miles away, you can be up on a mountaintop where there's no signal, but you see a cell phone tower way down there. And you get this thing, you connect to your router, and you point it down there, and boom, you're on the 5G. Because you've narrowed the signal down to this tight beam where you have to point it at it. The other thing to say is that the signal is weak. By the time it comes down from space, it's really weak. So Starlink can work, with the T-Mobile, in the middle of nowhere, on a mountaintop, on a boat, on an airplane. But it can't work in an office, right? By the time the signal gets down, it's just strong enough for your phone to pick up. Where, if you're using Verizon or AT&T or depending on what country you're in, whatever a normal carrier is, you'll get a signal so strong it'll work in an elevator. But that's not what's happening here. It is just strong enough to work through your cell phone case by the time it comes down through space. It's not making it through a roof. So there's real limitations, right? I mean, even Elon Musk admits, the cellular from space is not going to wipe out any of these carriers, right? They're all still going to exist. He is not going to put them out of business. But there's a niche. There are, farms where there's not enough business for a carrier to justify putting up a tower, and bam, now they can get it. On a ship, on a mountain, in the middle of a desert.
Which is great.
Yeah, it's really good. So, I guess the other thing is standards on bandwidth.
Okay.
Right. When you get internet from space, if they get you 1 megabit, you're generally happy. Right? You're in the middle of nowhere. Oh my God, I'm texting.
Yeah.
Where, if Verizon only gets you 9 megabits, you're like, this is garbage, right?
Throw it out.
It's lower power, it's lower speed. It may have updated, but a while ago they admitted that, the Starlink, all the users in a 10 mile by 10 mile area were sharing 17 megabits.
That's not great.
Well, if you're in the middle of the ocean, you might be the only one. In a 10-mile area, you're on your desert island and you get a 17 megabit internet connection.
Yeah, all right.
And you send some snapshots in your location, they come and rescue you. That could be miraculous. But in the city of Philadelphia, right, we can have, tens of thousands of people in one
All
square
sucking
mile,
that up,
right?
yep.
So, it's not going to work in high density places. So I hope that answers your question. All right. So Speedify, so we're talking, Apple has their N1 chip for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and Thread.
Yep.
And then they have the C chips where they're doing, 4G and 5G. Do we test with Speedify? Do we test the cellular differently than the Wi-Fi? Or is it all the same to us?
Not particularly. I mean, we'll test the bonding effects. We'll test, turning one radio off. We'll test, putting different latencies and different link conditioners on each connection, whether it's, cellular or Wi-Fi, and see how they react. I wouldn't think we treat it as much differently in testing, but in practice, I mean, cellular is expensive. It varies. It ranges. Wi-Fi is more dependable. It's, depending if you're in good range. So that differs a bit.
Yeah, I heard an interesting stat from someone at Apple, actually, that sending a bit of data over cellular uses 3 times as much power as sending a bit of data over the Wi-Fi.
I believe that.
right? So if you can get Wi-Fi to work, your battery will last much longer, right?
And that's why Apple will
So
control
you-
that for you as much as
yeah,
it can.
They try to push you to the Wi-Fi. Also cellular tends to be more expensive. A lot of people have unlimited now, but even a lot of the unlimited isn't unlimited.
No.
Right? It's after 20 gigabytes, they start slowing you down. So it's not really, really unlimited, where a lot of the Wi-Fi really is, right?
So that's what I'm curious. Like, their new chips are coming out, and Apple's always they want to make things more efficient. So does their C1X chips actually provide better battery usage with cellular modems, or it just fixed and it is what it is? I'm curious why they went that route. I know they want to integrate it into more products, like the Mac. We'll see. But yeah, I'm curious how Apple actually makes strides in that area.
Yeah. So how do iOS updates fix these wireless problems? Right? We said they keep shipping these phones with wireless problems, some with the cellular. Now that this round seems to have cellular problems.
Yeah.
Some rounds seem to have Wi-Fi problems, but then in the end, they do a software update and seems to fix it. What are they doing in these software updates?
So some of it, in terms of Apple, I mean, there's firmware updates. So it changes how the actual radios communicate with each other.
So what is firmware?
So firmware is basically what's under the operating system, how the actual undercore of your device is working, how the hardware is working with the software, things like that. So Apple controls the energy each one gets, how they communicate, the frequencies, how they operate back and forth. And if software breaks the communication between them, you're going to see drop bars, you're going to see drop signals. So firmware could change what they see as a problem. But you'll also see back on some of these older devices, there's a lot of carrier updates that needed to be applied, which are probably, I'm assuming, cell phone tower updates that needed to be patched specifically to your carrier. The new phones operate on eSIMs, which is now all software, and they support 6 carriers at the same time. So, that's a lot of varying circumstances for software to take care of. So,
Wait, how did you do a SIM in this?
there
Did it not have a SIM slot?
was a SIM slot. Is it?
So this is my iPhone 4. I don't see a SIM slot on it.
It's been such a long time. We have a couple. Oh, right here. Well, this 4 has one right here.
Oh, weird. Oh my gosh, we're going back so far. 3G. There were different versions of the phone.
Yeah, 3G, 3GS.
There were different versions of 3G, right? There was the CDMA.
Oh, yeah, that was the old AT&T Singular Wireless.
Right, so AT&T didn't have SIM cards.
They were just kind of baked in.
All right, I
Yeah.
completely forgot about
Yeah.
this stuff. Jeez, it was only with LTE 4G
We had SIM cards.
that the carriers all converged on the same protocol. In fact, at the beginning, there were 2 protocols. Right, there was LTE and there was WiMAX, and Clear and a bunch of other people went with the WiMAX, but they failed and they lost to LTE.
Oh.
And once that happened, basically every carrier in the world
Swap over.
swapped over to use the same technology. And it was a technology that used SIM cards. And it became really nice for consumers, honestly. Much as in general competition is good, on some of these standards it isn't, right? Because you could just buy any phone. You could take an AT&T phone, cancel your subscription, go to Verizon and say, turn on my phone on your network.
Yeah,
And
well, that's new.
they had you go to settings about
Unlock.
and read them some numbers.
Yep.
And voila, you could change carriers. So that was really cool. And now, of course, everyone went to 5G. And it's interesting, they just call it 5G. Through a lot of the standards, it refers to itself as NR, new radio.
Yeah, they just
Which I just
marketing.
despise. Could we stop naming new things new and modern?
I know.
They
What
keep
happens in a
doing-
year,
They
2
name
years?
things
is new.
modern, and 2 years later they seem old-fashioned. They keep doing this, right? Modern art
Yeah. At what point
is
does it
art
become
that's
not?
50 years old, right? Modern art is like a mid-20th century thing, right?
Maybe it makes us
Modern
feel
art is
good.
not modern.
No.
Can we just do better and give things names, you know? All right. But Shane is asking, how does parent share work? Are phones sending their data through the Speedify server on the desktop, or the other way around, or both? Okay, so here's how it works. So you have a device that wants to borrow internet from other devices, like your laptop, or it could be your phone, but your phone can go either way. So let's just pretend it's a laptop.
Okay.
So it goes and explores the local network using MDNS, also known as Bonjour, asking, is anyone else running Speedify and has cellular I can borrow? And so the phones running Speedify will tend to respond and say, hey, I have cellular you can borrow. And if they agree, you click pair and you click OK. And, or if you're all on the same account, it may just happen magically. But point is, you're in control. If you don't want this to happen, you can stop it. You can turn all of this off. That's totally fantastic. And then what happens is, so the VPN client is running on the laptop, what we call the client. And it's encrypting all of the data and then saying, which internet connection do I want to send it on? And so it's got its real internet connections, it's Ethernet, it's Wi-Fi, and then it has the virtual ones. There's that phone who said I could use their cellular. And so there you are. There's the phone that said you could use cellular. And it's actually physically going across the Wi-Fi to the phone, but the software starts pretending it's an internet connection. And so it'll give packets to it to send to the internet. And they go across the Wi-Fi to the phone, into Speedify, and then Speedify will turn around and send them straight out its cellular. So the packets go across the phone cellular, you get to use their cellular. But remember, all the data was encrypted back on the laptop. So even if somebody hacked Speedify here, made an evil Speedify or an app that pretended to be Speedify to get your packets, they're already encrypted.
There's no man in the middle.
So the man in the middle is not useful.
Nope.
But yeah, it sends those packets straight out at cellular. So now, you can borrow the cellular. So you can have a whole bunch of phones on the same Wi-Fi saying, hey, if you want to use my cellular, you can. And it's really nice.
I love it. I freaking love it. It is great.
Yeah.
It's hotspot to the max, or tethering hotspot to the max.
All right. So in iOS, what debugging tools are there for tracking down the cause these network prompts, right? I mean, so like, I've got an iPhone and it's got terrible latency. How do I know if it's the app or the operating system or the firmware or the internet connection or the web server? I mean, are there tools built into iOS or built into Xcode?
Yeah, so Xcode is the way you develop for iOS applications. So there are existing monitoring tools that you can measure the network out of your app on some of these Xcode tools that they give you. So Apple's very sandbox. So you only get so much. So you could see where your app is just failing at what level, and then you could take it another level and you could use programs like Wireshark and you could monitor. Is it reaching the internet? Is it going out of the internet? How is it coming back? And that's kind of the stack you would use. Is basically profiling your app in Xcode. That looks okay. You want to get deeper. You're going to go to Wireshark. You're going to actually see what the internet is doing.
One neat tool I really like, and it's just hidden there in iOS, and you can find it in the menus. The link conditioner.
Yes. Yeah.
You can tell it to just lose packet you can just tell it, add 200 milliseconds of latency to my cellular,
and it does it.
and then you have
that's how we test a lot of these things.
Then you have crappy cellular, right? You can just make it. Obviously you can't make it better,
right?
But you can make it worse. So it's got all these settings to make your internet worse on your phone.
Yes.
And hopefully you don't forget you did it.
Sometimes
because it magically makes your internet worse, and so you can test all your apps and stuff. Like, well, would this work if the internet was only 1 megabit? Well, you can dial in and say, make my Wi-Fi only 1 megabit, and Yeah.
We use that a lot here at Speedify to test, how would two low latency cellular connections and how parent share works with, smaller packets. So yeah, it's really great.
All right. So back to parent share. Shane is asking, is the phone borrowing the desktop's connection, or is it only sharing its mobile connection with the desktop? At this point, it's only phones
Yep.
sharing their cellular connections, but they can share them with other phones.
Yes.
We had that great bunch of us went to a Phillies baseball game. There's video out there. A bunch of us went to a Phillies baseball game, and we all had our phones. And I created a hotspot, and I joined the Veterans Stadium.
Citizens Bank Park.
Citizens Bank Park guest Wi-Fi. Sorry, I gave away my ancient age there. And then everyone else joined my hotspot.
Yes.
And then we all did parent share. And so we were able to stream in HD from the game.
Could you imagine?
Because we had the guest Wi-Fi, which was totally insufficient and completely overwhelmed.
Yes.
But then we had phones on every carrier. And none of them were that great.
But combined.
But combined, any of us were able to live stream and use all of our cellular connections. And it really went nicely. So it's only phones sharing their cellular, but they'll share them with phones or with laptops.
And that's a great point, though. You had different carriers hit different cell phone towers, and that's one of the main beauties of parent share.
Gary says, I've been thinking how I could live stream at a music festival where signal is heavily overloaded due to the amount of people. The festival I'm going to take in has about 50,000 people in a place with a population of 1,000. Would it be possible to just combine several devices that are getting low signal to get one clean signal? Would I need an absurd number of devices? I'm sorry, I just came across your YouTube video, which sent me down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, so several thoughts on this, Gary. One, first breakthrough is multiple carriers.
Yes. Yes. Must.
If you can get on, I'm just going to assume you're in the U.S. Translate if you're not. It still works. AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile. If you can get phones or modems on all three of those, that is remarkable.
Yes.
Because those are the three different cellular networks in the U.S. Actually, there's one more. There's U.S. Cellular, but they tend to operate in rural areas. They tend to operate in the areas where no one else goes, so they'll put up a tower and charge all the others if their customer
This
goes
population of 1,000 might have that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So maybe you can get 4.
Maybe you can get 4. So those are the big. Every other carrier are MVNOs, right?
They piggyback.
If you get a Comcast phone, that's really on Verizon. If you get a Cricket phone, that's really on AT&T. If you get a
Mint Mobile,
the new one that starts with a V, Vision or something, that's just Verizon again.
Yeah.
So all those other ones just are going to those three networks. So what you want is if you have those three networks, you're connecting to whatever towers there are. And none of them are perfect, but they tend to have different dead spots.
Yep.
Right? I had a fun one with AT&T and Verizon riding the Amtrak up and down the East Coast.
Yeah.
And they both had all sorts of dead spots, but there was only one spot where they were both dead.
Oh.
So with Speedify, it was nearly perfect. I could be online the whole time on the Amtrak going through tunnels and forests and all this stuff. And, if you're watching, often one of them was dead. But they were never all dead. So that's the first one. If you get those three, that is world-changing. There's obviously more you can do, particularly if you're not doing Gorilla. I talked about, the Miri router.
Yep.
Nice device, $1,700 at Miri.tech. Go ahead, check it out. It has a built-in 5G with 4 big badass antennas. It has a built-in 4G with 2 more big badass antennas. And as I said, you can, I think they're pointing you at another company, but at Miri they talk about it. you can get these external antennas where you take out these 4 antennas, they just unscrew, and you put on the cables to this dinner plate sized thing. And if you can get that pointed at a cell phone tower, so if you can have a bit of if there's some way to get it a little bit higher up, a lot of times in these situations, right? So everyone's cell phones are overwhelming the closest towers.
Oh.
But if you can be prepared enough to point the directional antenna at the next closest tower, sometimes that's not busy at all. And you can get this beam, point at it, and you can get your modem to connect to that.
You're ahead of the game.
And you're ahead of the game because you're now connected to a not busy tower. So if you can plan ahead and think about how to get things a little higher up and directional antennas, there's a lot more crazy stuff you can get signal with.
Yeah.
But, if you can figure out how to get 3 modems. And with a thing like this, you got the 5G, you've got the 4G. You've got 2 USB ports, and you can tether iPhones, you can tether Android. They're also just regular 4G modems. You can pop in here, and it's great. This is nice, right? I mean, it's good for this kind of thing. It uses NPF batteries. They're hot swappable.
Yep.
Right. It only needs 1 battery, so you can put in a fresh battery, take out the old battery, put it on the charger, and go for days on battery. Of course, you can plug it in too. It has multiple Ethernets. Starlink, Gary. There's a Starlink Mini. If you could also use a Starlink Mini, that will, particularly get a little above the crowd, good view of the sky. If you can get a good view of the sky, a Starlink Mini could give you enough bandwidth. So yeah, Starlink Mini and 1 or 2 cellulars.
Man,
that's a nice solution. Yeah, so I was at the eCamp Creators Camp.
Yep.
And the Wi-Fi wasn't that great, and so I went outside and I put a Starlink Mini on the patio, and I went and
No way, really?
without asking anyone, I opened one of the windows and I
Yeah.
threw the cable through, and went inside, got the cable, and ran it to my. And all these people said, "Oh, we don't need that. The internet in here is good." And the internet went out, and I had great internet. Doc Rock was there. He was using my internet, and so we had fantastic internet the whole time. And unfortunately, some of the speakers, ran into issues, and it was a little too late when they were already up on stage to say, "Well, you should have used my. Come on and join this Wi-Fi hotspot, run this Ethernet or whatever." But yeah, Starlink Minis. That's another good solution. It's not enough, right? Starlink, it gets faster and slower. It randomly drops out. It's like not quite good enough to stream with. But you add a Starlink plus like anything, 4G modem, 5G modem, 2 4G modems, even better, all 3 carriers. I mean, now you're into rock solid stuff. If you can put essentially the 4 carriers together, Starlink, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, that'll be really great.
And Gary's question up at the top, he wanted to know if they switched on and off, or how did all the connections work? Maybe we could familiarize them with the bonding that Speedify does with these.
Do connections combine and split the workload, or does it just choose and switch between them? Speedify, it connects on all the connections, and then packet by packet. So if you're sending a stream, if you're streaming, 3 megabits of video, for example, it mostly consists of packets that are about 1,000 bytes large, 1,500 bytes large, right? Those are the kind of sizes. So you're actually sending thousands of, well, it seems like you're sending a stream. To the radio, you're sending thousands of hunks,
Yep.
frames of data. And so each frame of data, we are picking a connection to send it over.
That's right.
And so since it's thousands a second, we can be very granular. We can decide to give 12.5% to the AT&T and give 23% to the Verizon because it seems like it's twice as fast, and give the whole rest to the Wi-Fi, and adjust those percentages in real time, right? Basically, packet by packet, we say, what's the best internet to send this on? And so we send it on the best internet connection, but then we realize the best internet connection is now slightly busy, right? So once we give it enough stuff, it might not be the best connection anymore because it's the best connection, but it's very busy, and therefore it's not quite as good as the second best connection, which at least isn't busy. So then we start giving it packets too, and that starts shrinking, and it's a little balancing game. So this is different than, say, a load balancer. So a load balancer doesn't work packet by packet. It works stream by stream. So you make a new connection to the internet to upload or download a file, and then you pick, a load balancer will pick which internet connection is best, put it on that, and then that stream is on that connection, and it can't change that. So the next stream it says, well, which connection should I put it on? And you can be pretty smart about it, but in the end, connections can't move. They can never be split across multiple with a load balancer. But it doesn't need a server, right? It goes straight out. I mean, there's pros and cons to these approaches. Right now, we are very hardcore on the packet bonding. You connect to a server. And that's why the server is important, by the way, is that now we've split up your traffic across all these multiple internet connections. It would be so confusing for all those packets to arrive at Netflix or whatever, where it gets these packets trying to continue conversations where it doesn't remember having heard anything from this guy before. And so we put them back together. And so Netflix or whoever, whatever server you're talking to, is just talking to our server.
That's right.
And getting the packets in a sane order, all from one person it's talking to. And that makes things make sense for it. And multiple carriers, so important if you're out and about. All right. What was that device called? He's asking about the directional antenna.
No, the Miri 510, I think.
Yeah, so this is the Miri X510, MIRI X. If you go to miri.tech, you'll see it. It's a nice device. It's solid aluminum case, touch screen on the front. It's pretty rugged. It's interestingly rack mountable. It comes with the ears, right? It's 1.5 inches tall, which makes it the right size to go in a rack, like in a data center or something. It's exactly half width, so you can put 2 of these on one rack. Magewell, I don't know if you're familiar with them, Chinese manufacturer of stuff like video encoders and stuff. They make a bunch of video encoders that are the exact same form factor. So you can put a Magewell video encoder and one of these routers together, and you have a single 1U rack.
It's a nice setup.
Or, it comes with a metal ear that reaches the rest of the way across. You don't have to put it up with anything else. So. All right. Are your servers hosted on a third-party cloud service like AWS, Azure, etc.? Our servers are hosted on a wide variety of cloud providers. None of our VPN servers, none of our speed servers are hosted on AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud. Their prices for bandwidth are crazy. As you might imagine, Speedify moves
A lot of data.
A lot of data.
Say lightly.
A lot of data. We're getting it exabytes and stuff. Just huge, huge bills. So we use providers that offer unlimited bandwidth options. So we're big customers of Linode, of DigitalOcean, of The other thing is that we need very low latency.
Yes.
So we need servers close to you. Wherever you are trying to stream video, there has to be a server nearby. And, Amazon, they've got a variety of locations, but not enough, right? So we're in some cases using pretty small providers to put one server in, some city or some island or whatever.
Around the world,
And, so we use a lot of providers. Interestingly, our database is on AWS. I'll just say that.
Secure.
I pay Amazon to back up our database and store the backups hundreds of miles away from where the actual database is, and they just take care of it, and it's a service. And I don't ever have to worry that one of us forgot to back up the database.
Did you do it?
Or that that the backups don't work.
Yeah.
For that, the database, who are our paying customers? That I'm happy to pay the Amazon extra to get it done right. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to the servers, I mean, what do I want from them? I want bandwidth. Yep. I want lots of bandwidth, and they charge per gigabyte. Not going to work out. So it doesn't work out. So we don't. All right. So what else?
If you want to hit Gary's last question, theoretically, if you had two setups, both with 3 carriers.
So theoretically, if you had 2 setups, both with 3 carriers with Speedify setup, you could load balance between them to right gear. Yeah. I mean, you can go ahead and if you have a computer with USB 3 that you have enough ports and fast Ethernet, you can have 2 connections to each on one Speedify. But yeah, you can do crazy stuff where you have 2 Speedifys and you load balance between them. Actually, we had a customer in Japan. They just wanted absolute fault tolerance. They wanted 2 of everything. Right? They had 6 different cameras. So it's 3 cameras into each of 2 computers. Each computer, went to Speedify. They made sure they connected over multiple carriers each. Okay. They made sure they always connected to different servers because they could not go down. If the Speedify server went down, the other Speedify server is working. If one of the computers caught fire, the other computer was still working. They made sure that there was absolutely no one thing that could fail to take them out.
That's pretty smart.
And it was a pretty nice setup, and they never went down, right? I think each computer had 2 or 3 internet connections. Nice. And they made sure they connected to different servers.
Gary, if you do stream this concert, you got to send us a link now. I would love to see it.
Yeah. Going back to Apple.
Uh-huh.
Do you think Apple is optimizing for energy efficiency or for speed? Like, do you think some of these problems with Apple's stuff is just that they're trying to be too energy efficient?
Oh, completely energy efficient. I mean, their chips can tout we do Wi-Fi 7. We have the capability to do X amount of gigabytes per second. That's what we do. Our battery life is 17 hours a day. That's what we do. You have speed problems, must be your carrier's problem. Yeah. That's Apple's take. That's my take from Apple anyway. I think that the carriers, they definitely work with Apple right before release. So they have an idea of how each phone will operate on our network and what the speed throttling might be when they hit these speeds. And that's why if you saw, back in 2010 in AntennaGate, AT&T was trying to stop Apple from shipping this, and they got put in the lawsuit with them. So all of these carriers are now on Apple's, ecosystem. And so, there's a fine line, but Apple's priority is Apple's numbers. And that's
it's interesting because to most users, I think not running out of battery during the day is in fact more important than an extra megabit of speed. Agreed. Right? I'm not sure that Apple's wrong here. Nope. In fact, I realized, right, these people sitting here running, speedtest.net over and over, trying to make sure that they get the 930 megabits, not just 870 megabits. Other than running the speed tests, do these things affect your life at all?
Very fine grain edge cases, I would say. Like if you're in the edge of nowhere, a little bit of speed boost might help you, but in your normal day-to-day, no. And then the pros, Apple is now adding new technology like mmWave for cities and giving you more capabilities, and that adds to Apple's numbers. So
yeah. Those peak speeds they can brag about, even though they're not normally getting them.
Have you ever seen them? No, but they exist.
I know this doesn't sound exciting, but I think the real truth is that fast internet is about 25 megabits.
Yeah. I mean, that's your
I mean,
streaming 4K.
if you're sitting there, reloading on speed test, 25 megabits seems terrible. But I think that if you never run speed test, if you have 25 down and 25 up, but none of this nonsense about, oh, you only need 3 megabits
No.
up. I need full speed up.
Yeah.
But if I have 25 down and 25 up on my cell phone and I don't ever run a speed test,
I don't. Yeah.
I think I'm good.
I agree. I mean, if you could send movies to your friends, fine. What's the speed on that? If I could download my apps on the App Store without even blinking an eye, and if I could watch my Netflix,
I mean, stuff with 5 gigabits, you can download your entire music collection in 6
do
seconds.
that on a cell phone.
Sure, but how often do I download? More often, I'm watching Slack.
Yes. Yes.
Waiting for someone else to type something in the comments here.
And the raw speed's good, but you're still dealing with servers on the other side. So Netflix isn't going to give you, the speed you think you're going to have.
Yeah. All right. So built into the phones, the 5G in particular, there's this carrier aggregation thing. Do you know much about this? Carrier aggregation, band steering on the iPhones. Do they create any issues?
As far as different providers?
Yeah.
You mean prioritizing maybe 4G over 5G and steering you in different ways? I think they could hinder your performance sometimes. I think that I think sometimes your phone lies to you when you're on 5 and you're on 4. But I think some of the older models where it was switching between LTE and the 4G, I think that was some problems that we had in the past.
AT&T. Apple let the carriers provide the icons for the bars and for the 4G and the 5G. And AT&T, if you have really good signal strength on 4G, it changes to say 5GE, 5E. That's right.
5Ed, yep. Okay.
What is 5E?
What is that?
5E is 4G
Yes.
with a good signal strength. 4G is working really well. AT&T calls it 5G because they just want to slap that up there.
Yep.
And it's totally, but they put the extra E on. You get the 5E, and that's how you know it's not 5 at all. And it's Apple just, it wasn't Apple's fault.
No.
They told the carriers, you guys can put the icons up there in case you have, you want, your font or whatever in little 5G because you're the one providing the 5G. And so AT&T, and they do to this day. If you have an AT&T phone, you look up there and it says 5E, you're on 4G. It is.
Take it off. Oh, it says 5G for me.
Yeah.
But again, is it more software problems, perhaps?
Yeah, and the carrier aggregation stuff that's built into 5G is using it's the same carrier, it's the same tower, it's just grabbing 2 different slots at the same time. So I mean, it's a little bit better, but it's not combining 2 different internet connections.
No. Which one gets first?
AT&T. It's letting you use 1.9 gigahertz and 1.91 gigahertz at the same time to the same tower. So it's a nice little optimization that if not many people are around,
You see a difference.
then a phone can, basically grab 2 phones worth of slots and get a little extra bandwidth. It's not some deep thing.
Alice, what we need is the dual SIM at the same time. Why Apple is not working on? I guess that comes back to do they care about speed?
DSDA.
That's what we need.
DSDA.
Yes.
Dual SIM, dual active.
Yes.
So all the iPhones today are DSDS. Dual SIM, well, the old ones were single SIM, but all the recent ones have 2 SIMs, but the 2 SIMs are sharing 1 cellular radio. So dual SIM, dual standby, only one at a time is actually working. Now, if you have the two SIMs set up, what it'll do is it'll spend 950 milliseconds on the one you set the data switch for, right? The two have the switch for like primary data. You turn the primary data on. It'll spend 950 milliseconds out of each second on that carrier. And then it pops to the other one for 50 milliseconds to ask, do you have any texts for me? Do you have any notifications for me? And if so, it gets the text and the notifications and switches right back and pops them up.
Yep.
So you can get the notifications from both carriers, people text you, you tend to not notice that it's delayed by, on average, half a second.
Yeah, how would you know?
Right?
Yeah.
Pops up, boop, 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 back and forth. And so you seem to be on both networks. I guess you are on both networks, but just with an internet connection that is so slow on the other that you can just barely get through texts and notifications because it's popping back and forth. Dual SIM, dual active. This is this vision of two radios in one phone. So you're really on both networks at once. Now, the iPhone 17 and the iPhone 17 Pro and the Pro Max, but not the Air, have this new Qualcomm chip that supports dual SIM, dual active.
Oh, the
There
Snapdragon
are
does?
actually two cellular radios on that, but Apple doesn't care. It's only using one. That wasn't a feature they asked for. So there's still dual SIM, dual standby. I mean, like I said, sending a byte over cellular uses 3 times as much power as Wi-Fi. They don't want to keep two cellular radios on.
That would be
It'd
very
drain
bad
the
for them.
battery,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So Apple didn't really want that feature. They got it from Qualcomm. It's in the chip. You can't use it. Very similar to the original iPhone, the Qualcomm chip from it had an FM tuner on it.
You got what you got?
There is an FM radio chip on this for picking up radio stations. But Apple just tied the antenna to ground. They had no interest. They were never going to use that. It just came for free from the chip. So they didn't connect an antenna to it. So there were people hacking and stuff and trying to figure out, is there something they could do to get it to work? And I think some people pulled the chip off and got it to work. But there's no way to get the iPhone to do that. Apple didn't want to be an FM radio for probably good reasons.
Yeah. And 20 years later, that's why Apple is now taking control of its own chips.
Yes, they're
Like,
taking,
you know.
so yeah, they're designing chips that just do what they want exactly. So they don't have to worry about turning off features they have no intention of using.
More work, more, things could go wrong. Do any current cell phones use DSDA?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
There's talk of Chinese phones that do,
Okay.
but to be honest, they seem to be old Chinese phones.
Really? Okay.
I think 10 years ago, some Chinese companies launched dual SIM, dual active phones, and they were not hits, and they stopped.
It's hard back then. It's easier now, but
Right.
so why would the new X80 incorporate these? I mean, it must be on the horizon
certainly,
somewhere,
people
right?
ask, right?
Yeah, that's
People
what I'm
ask.
saying. Like, this is exciting. That would be maybe I'd switch because then you get service wherever you go.
Yeah, so I think we're more likely to see some Android phone that decides to differentiate themselves as the one that can be on two networks at once, than we are to
I think that's great.
ever see Apple do it.
I can't wait to see that future.
Yeah. And the obvious other question is, now that Apple has their cellular chips, are we going to see a cellular Mac?
Oh, Brian P., if you're listening, I know you don't. I would pretty much guarantee it in the next.
You guarantee?
I
He
guarantee.
guarantees
I
it
know.
won't. Holy cow!
Oh, Apple.
Oh,
think
it's a
about
battle
it. They're
royale.
putting all this money into their C1X chip, just their cellular chips. C1X, it's going to be whatever. And Apple as a company right now, all they want to do is sell you more products and integrate more. If they're coming out with a touchscreen for your Mac, that's the next step to have your Mac go with you wherever you are.
Well, that's another one. Are they ever going to come out with touchscreen Mac?
Yeah, I think that was rumored for for coming up. I think that was actual. I want to say a solid rumor that came out that Macs will have a touchscreen in the near
It
future.
sort of makes sense, except
You worry about the
they've
iPad.
taken so long that it seems like they're just not going to. That's not something they want.
If you look even at the Pro though,
And,
the
and fingerprint smudges.
Apple fixed that. I mean, does your iPad really have that many? A little wash, but the Pro and the iPads, they're in the $1,000 range. They're still competing with your cell phones. A touchscreen Mac with cellular, you're talking $2,500 minimum. That's prime Apple real estate. They're not competing with each other. Two separate products.
I gotta say, I booted up a Windows PC for the first time in a long time yesterday, and I was using the touchscreen.
Yeah.
I was like, I just poked it, and like.
You could use your mouse on your iPad.
What's the browser? I poked the Chrome icon that popped up. Like
you're just used to touching things.
That was so normal.
I use Sidecar.
I mean, for most things, I don't. But I was realizing, like, I just use the touch screen. I
just trying to pop an app out. Yeah.
Just run Chrome.
Yeah, I use Sidecar every day for my Mac. It's my third screen, and I find myself poking it all the time.
I bought an iPad for the family the other day. And I decided, since it was going to be shared in the living room, I made, shared Gizis as a new user and added them to our families that get all the family purchases.
Nice.
But it wouldn't have any of its private stuff. That means the Sidecar stuff doesn't work.
Oh, it needs to be geared to your...
What? Right. So iPads have all this cool stuff where if you bring it right next to your Mac, it suddenly becomes a second screen for the Mac and stuff like that. And it only works if you're both signed into the same Apple account.
I didn't know that.
A different Apple account on the same family, it doesn't work. So none of that stuff works.
I mean, Alex, why iPads do not have different profiles is still mind-boggling to me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously that's what it ought to be. I mean,
what is
you pick up the iPad and you pick which one of us you are.
If anything, iPads are shared by kids and adults. That's what it is.
That's what it is.
I don't want my son seeing any... I want to sandbox him to kids' apps, and it doesn't even allow you to
An
do that.
iPad is not a personal device. I mean, I'm sure for someone it is, but...
No, it's a shared
It's
device.
not for you. It's not for Brian. It's not for me. And I mean, we're pretty big geeks,
Yes.
right? We're into our gear. And the iPad is a thing you just leave out on the coffee table.
Yep.
And people pick it up. And, if somebody's going on a road trip, they take it, to have a bigger screen to watch movies on. And,
Apple, why?
Yeah. They're
Why? And when they come out with it, this is an amazing new feature.
Yeah, there's like a degree of like wishful thinking.
Yeah.
I think sometimes with some of their product decisions.
Yeah, some of these, a lot of the guys that are higher up, I feel like are becoming dated, and there's some turn happening. It needs to happen a little faster.
They got, I think one spot where Apple really got stuck was on making things thinner. And for a while, it was awesome.
Yes.
Because devices were so darn thick, right? That making them thinner was better and better. But at some point, a keyboard, the keys need to go in when you press them.
Yeah.
And playing these games with how little can you make it go in.
Like why?
It just makes it unpleasant to type on.
Yeah.
So they play games, we'll make it vibrate when you press. So it feels like a keyboard.
No.
It's a trick that mostly works, but doesn't really work,
I agree.
Like, I want a real key. I went out and I bought myself a low-profile Keychron keyboard to use my Mac. You want to feel it? I wanted to feel the keys move. And not even that much. I went for the low-profile one.
But Apple's is just extreme.
The keys move by 1/4 of an inch. And it's so much more pleasant. And so I've got my thin Mac, and I carry with it the keyboard, right? I mean, I'm not getting any benefits from having a thin Mac, right? And like Ethernet ports, God, I have to carry around Ethernet adapters with me, right?
Oh, USB.
I mean, why not make it thick enough to have I don't know.
Just look what they did with the Air. I mean, it's thick and thin. Like, why did they even bother? Just uniform it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen the iPhone 17 Air. I went in Sunday to the Apple store, and the body of it is so thin. But around the camera, the bump comes out every bit as far as the thickness of an older iPhone. And I mean, it is a miracle miniaturization, but that giant camera bump, they've shoved
weird.
all of the electronics into that. It really is just a screen and titanium. The rest of it. So I don't know. There are people online saying that jamming all the electronics into that bump is making it overheat. I don't have one. I have some concerns. I also have some concerns. Titanium or not, that's a very long, thin lever.
Oh,
It feels like it would break in my pocket. Interestingly, the guy in the Apple store was like, no, it's titanium. That won't happen. I said, I don't know. I'm not going to risk it. It's too expensive a purchase to buy something that seems like it's going to break in my pocket. Yeah. And he said, yes, that's what most people say.
all right.
I was like, oh. I was like, so I'll get an iPhone 17 Pro instead. He's like, oh, we're sold out of those. Well, then I'll get a regular iPhone. He's like, no, we're sold out of those. All we have is iPhone 17 Airs.
Apple knew. Yeah.
Right. So people are not. He said everything else is selling great. They can't keep the other iPhone 17s in stock, but you can just walk into any store and pick up an Air because people think they're going to break in their pocket.
That's silly.
Maybe they solved it, but
No,
it's too expensive a purchase to risk putting it in your pocket and having it snap because it looks like it would snap because
I'd be so
thin.
mad.
And the funny thing is, because the top is still just as thick as an old iPhone, it's not actually like the phone is thin.
No, I get you.
It's, you measure the thickness of the phone, you measure it at the thickest part.
Who's the customer for that then? Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's sort of a marvel of engineering, but I didn't buy it. So,
you going Pro
I'm
Max?
still on my 12 Pro.
Are you going Pro Max or where are you going to go?
Those are pretty big. I just think iPhone 17 Pro is probably where I want to be. Oh. It's the interesting thing, the difference, this is me, network guy, between the iPhone 17 and the iPhone 17 Pro, they list lots of things. The one I obsessed with, the USB. On the Pro, it's USB 3 and can go like 2 gigabits. On the 17, it's USB 2, and it's capped at 312 megabits.
I gotcha. Well, there's another Pro feature.
So you have this fancy USB-C connector, but they have it hooked up to a USB 2 chip. I mean, this is the stuff that was in the Raspberry Pi 3.
Why would they do that? That's a couple years old.
I think it's a lot more than 10 years old. When was USB 2? Anyone want to Google that?
Yeah,
I mean, it's feeling more like 2001 to me.
Roy, Alex is getting the crossbody strap too. That's crazy you say that.
Really? So that was the wackiest thing in the whole thing. They have this iPhone case where you can get a crossbody strap that essentially turns it into a purse. But hey, if she's happy, I'm happy for her.
Yeah.
It seemed odd, right? And the interesting thing is the strap, it's not one strap, right? It's 2 pieces with magnets all along it. So you just slap it together and the magnets hold it. Which I guess is, it's interesting. Like if it's strong enough, then it's infinitely adjustable. You can adjust it to your exact width without having to have any holes like a belt. And I guess if it gets caught in a machine or something, the magnets will come off before they strangle you.
That's
right?
really cool.
That's
a good idea.
Like, bad things happen in the real world.
Oh, that's great.
But
that does make a lot of sense.
She likes it.
Yeah.
Her first new iPhone in 7 years. She works as a nurse. The straps work for her. Yeah. And like I said, things get caught. So the magnets, if it reaches the point where it would strangle you, the magnets let go. Which, I mean, you'll be upset that your phone got destroyed by whatever machine was
better than my
pulling it,
neck.
But, I do worry about thieves. Can thieves take advantage of that? Grabbing it and running? I don't know how that works. So I'm now 5 years behind on my iPhone. So I'm starting to look.
Yeah, you need
to be honest, this thing works fine. Battery doesn't quite make it through the day, but I put a charger on my desk, and I'm just in the habit I plug it in while I'm sitting there working. So Makes
It's still
it through
running
the day for
iOS
me.
26, so Apple's still
Yeah.
agreeing that it's still relevant.
Yeah. It's getting near the end, though, right?
iOS 28 is going to cut
11.
you off.
Yeah, I think next year it'll get cut off. So I'm looking, if they had an iPhone
You would've got a
17
new
Pro
one,
in
yeah.
stock, I would have a new phone right now. But they didn't. Sold out. So, all right. Wow, we've been going for 90 minutes.
My longest stream with you, Alex.
Your longest stream. You're so lucky.
I know, right? It's lunchtime. It's lunchtime, guys.
7 years. Did she upgrade from the 10X? Yeah, she probably did.
That was a good phone.
Oh yeah, you loved that thing.
I love the X, yeah. The 4 and the X stand out really good to me. The first one was great, but there was no GPS.
Yeah.
So the only thing I wanted was
Feels
maps.
so nice, and I can't tell you how nice it feels in the hand.
I miss that.
It's not too big.
They brought all the icons with the rounded
There's
Rex.
no edges on it. It's all rounded. It is solid. Sir, please explain the jitter feature. I'm trying to get out of here. Hold on for the XX. All right. So
Brian's listening.
the jitter feature. Let's talk about the jitter buffer.
Okay.
For 3 minutes, and then we'll end, because this is a good question, Des. So Speedify has a new feature. Boop. Let's see if I can pull this up here. Oh, there it is. The jitter buffer. So normally with apps, you want things to go through as fast as possible. And you really wouldn't want software coming along and purposely slowing down your internet connection. So by default, Speedify tries to get every packet through as fast as it can. It uses multiple connections in parallel to get them through faster. But when you're live streaming like this, that's sometimes not true. What you end up wanting is consistency, because we're 30 frames per second. We're sending a frame of video every 30th of a second. And if ones are late, things end up broken up and we end up stuttering, and you get those weird pixelated boxes on the screen. And you guys wouldn't notice, because we're streaming here to you, and it goes out and it goes through YouTube and it goes through Twitch and it makes it to your computer and you watch it, and then you type us comments, and nobody actually knows, not you, not me, like between when I say something, when your comment arrives here 10 seconds later, was that because you were typing for 9 seconds, or did you type it in 1 second and it took 9 seconds of latency? Like, no one would notice an extra second of latency if that made the video less blocky, right? If that made the audio, and the audio especially,
part, yes.
the audio, when you get, missing chunks in the audio, that's so bad. So it'd be better to purposely delay it. And that's what the jitter buffer in Speedify is. We add a buffer on the server, on the client, to actually hold your packets. So when you send it from your client, it goes across the internet and then goes into the server's jitter buffer. When you're downloading or watching a live stream, the buffer's on your client, so you download it. And so what we do is we try to make the packets get delivered consistently. So you set a target delay. See again. Target delay, 75 milliseconds. You want to set that a little bit higher than the actual latency on your connections. So if you have a bunch of internet connections, one's 20 milliseconds, one's 70 milliseconds, you might set it to 100 milliseconds. And so what happens is, if a packet arrives late, or if a packet doesn't arrive at all on the 20 millisecond connection, we can say, oh, we didn't get it, send it again. If there's enough buffer there, you can have a bunch of back and forth to get the packets together so that we can deliver them on time consistently, right? So if a packet shows up in just 1 millisecond, we'll hold it for 74 milliseconds. So that shows up at exactly 75. And if the packet shows up in 74 milliseconds, we'll only hold it 1 millisecond. So you could have this huge range of packets arriving early and late and all this stuff. And if it's less than the number you have set for the target delay,
No difference.
no difference. Like a boop, 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 boop. So you don't want to use it for everything. As you see on the screen, you can set which ports, which IP addresses, which domains to use. That default of 9000 to 9010 UDP, I will tell you what that is, since it doesn't actually say it there. That is the live view. Live view's video streaming is on port 9000 to 9010. And they are really sensitive. If the latency changes while they're streaming, they do all sorts of stuff where they drop the quality and stuff because they think there's something terribly wrong with the internet. So giving them a nice, consistent jitter buffer when you run a live view through a computer running Speedify, it makes a huge difference in the quality. The quality ramps up, though. It's a funny thing. Live views start off, when you start live streaming them, they start off low resolution. Then when they see that's working okay, they go a little higher.
Okay.
They go a little higher, they go a little higher. So if you set the jitter buffer, it actually takes a little bit longer to get all the way up to the full quality, but then you become much more resistant to problems. So I think when you're using a live view, you probably want to sort of start it streaming to live view before you actually go
So the
live.
ramp up is okay.
Give it 30 seconds or a minute of streaming, so to adjust the settings. You don't want to go just live instantly when you're really going live, right? But yeah, so the other thing, as Ryan's pointing out, you don't want at least too much jitter buff on two-way calls where you're both talking to each other with audio. If the delay is more than 100 milliseconds, it starts getting really painful. You find people start rudely interrupting you. You're in the middle of talking and people just suddenly talk on top of you. And it's not them being rude. It's that the delay is so far off that what they're hearing isn't what you're saying, right? So they waited till you weren't talking, and by the time what they said made it all the way to you, you would start talking, so now they're interrupting you. And that's not what they're observing. So if you're doing two-way audio calls, a lot of times jitter buffer's bad, or at least keep it low. 50, 75 milliseconds, that's okay. But yeah, at 200 milliseconds, it is so hard. And you may have been on some of those calls where, particularly, calling on something like Skype or Teams overseas to Asia. You can end out with these weird conversations where, like, it's not working. Everyone keeps interrupting each other. And that's because the latency got so high. Audio is very sensitive to latency. It's also sensitive to jitter because the packets arrive out of order. It'll end out jumbled and stuff. So, you want to keep the values low. Don't ever go above 100 milliseconds on a voice call. Maybe lower. I think that's it. Now we're at 11:40.
Wow.
So, fantastic. Yeah, I think that's it. All right. So, thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
I know you're a busy man. I took a lot of time out of your day here, but I think it was worth it.
Yeah, good job.
It's good talking to you all, guys. Des, Roy, Gary, everybody else I'm forgetting. Shane. It's good seeing you, man. All right. So, thank you, everybody. And we'll see you all online.